Oof. I'm trying to build an Ultralight 03 2S toothpick around 45 grams dry weight. Should I do 3-inch, 3.5-inch, 4-inch? I don't think there's any way you're going to hit 45 grams on a 4-inch. Like, what's a 1404 motor even weigh? Emax Eco 1404. The weight of this motor is 8.6 grams without the wire. Multiply by 4. 34 grams. That leaves you 10 grams for everything else. Forget about it. I think your props are going to weigh more than 10 grams. So that's a no. I think 3-inch is the way to go. But I guess you could... Oh. I don't know, man. 1204 motors. The weight of the 03 is going to be the sticking point on the Zing Nano 1200T motor F1204. 6 grams. 4 times 6, 24. Now you got about half the weight of the quadcopter in motors. That's closer to right. So I think 4-inch is right on out. 3.5-inch, maybe. Maybe. For a sub 250 03 air unit, Amon Thomas, I think that if your goal is to be sub 250, then I would shoot for 249. Like, if you're going to carry the 03 air unit, I think that I would shoot for, like, 249. I think when you get much below about a 3-inch prop or a 95 millimeter Cinewhoop, you start to really feel the weight of the 03. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun and have a good flying quad at 85 millimeters or... 75 millimeters with an 03, I don't know if I would like living with that, but if you got to do what you got to do. But I think that 3 inches and coming in right around 249 grams is about what I would be at. Maybe 3.5 inches. If you need it to be smaller for some reason, like you want to fly it inside your house, well, now you got to make it smaller. But if your goal is the weight first and foremost, then hit right up against that weight. Do you know any FPV bundles that have DJI 03 with controllers and everything? Who's selling a full build kit, bind and fly, ready to go with 03? Does Rotor Riot still sell the 03? Ready to fly drones, all ready to fly drones. Walk Snail, yeah. You can buy a full starter kit is what Rotor Riot calls them. This is one of the reasons I think people are like, Rotor Riot's overpriced. Yeah, it's your money. You make that decision for yourself, But Rotor Riot is one of the only vendors where you can buy a complete starter kit. Everything you need, charger, goggles, controller, all in one box, one credit card swipe, no hassle, and it all arrives ready to go out of the box. You just open it up, plug it in, go. Rotor Riot's, they're the only one I can think of. There may be some other out there that are smaller stores that I haven't heard of. I always like to point that out, and it's a reason why they're always in my stable. You may decide you don't want to buy individual motors, frames, etc. from them for whatever reason, but if you're a beginner looking for an all-in-one kit, it's $1,200. That's honestly, it includes battery, controller, everything. Does it include batteries? No, it doesn't include batteries. Okay. That's honestly a pretty fair price. It's a little high for what you're getting. Like, that's not like a super expensive charger, but like that's what you're paying for the convenience, right? And there are always people who say, well, I don't want to pay for convenience. I want to save money. And it's like, good for you. And then there's other people out there who are like, I want to pay for convenience. And for some reason, they're the bad guys. Anyway. What is the budget, best value for money, FPV-friendly action cam at this time? Is it still the RunCam Orange, chat? To be honest with you, I haven't been running GoPro. I have some GoPros. I haven't been running them very much because, you know, these days I mostly just run DVR and it's usually good enough. Is it still the RunCam Orange as the sort of budget? People are suggesting the Caddx Walnut. Has the Caddx Walnut gotten better since it first released? RunCam Thumb Pro. Form factor on the RunCam Thumb Pro is a little bit less friendly than the RunCam Orange. RunCam Thumb. Nobody's saying the Orange. The Orange used to be the go-to. Interesting. Caddx Walnut, RunCam Thumb Pro, RunCam Thumb Pro 4K are suggestions that are being thrown out. Joseph Tahari says the Caddx Walnut is trash. I remember the Caddx Walnut being trash when it first came out, and I kind of gave up on it. I would probably buy the Orange. Just because it's a known quantity to me. Mason Westcott, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have a Crossfire receiver that starts to blink red after trying to bind an update, and it doesn't actually bind. Mason, I am not sure. I think this means you have a firmware mismatch of some kind, and I know you think that's impossible because, like, shouldn't it update the firmware? But what I would do is this. Like, there have been times in history where a new piece of Crossfire hardware came out, and the firmware that's on the module doesn't support it, and it can't be downgraded because it's new firmware, so, like, they just won't bind. So, what I would do if I were you is, number one, update the firmware on the module to the latest version available in TBS Agent, and then try to bind it again and see if it works. That's what I would do. And if you're already on the latest firmware, then I would have to think some more. I would probably do emergency recovery because that's just what my fallback is always to do. Oxtail Gravy asks, how do I configure turtle mode? Is it as simple as enabling bidirectional Dshot? No, you don't need to bidirectional Dshot has nothing to do with turtle mode. Turtle mode works as long as you're using Dshot at all. You don't need to do any special configuration. It just works as long as you're using Dshot. You need to go into the modes tab and set up turtle mode, or they call it flip crash mode. Set it up as a mode, and that's the end of it. Bidirectional is something different. It's related to filtering and PID tuning. It doesn't have anything to do with whether turtle mode works or changing the direction of the motors. You're thinking that it has to do with turtle mode because it says bidirectional, and when you turtle mode, you switch motor direction. That is true, but that's not the way bidirectional is being used in this context.